70% of lottery winners are utterly bankrupt in 3 years. 30% or not are the ones who've already had money. But if you have money, you get a paycheck every Friday, and the money's finished by Thursday, then when you win the lottery, all you do is spend, 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 because that's a pattern. But what RTT does is find the pattern, understand the pattern, change the pattern all in one session.
Marisa Peer, a globally acclaimed therapist, best-selling author and award-winning speaker. Marisa has transformed the lives of countless individuals, including international superstars, CEOs, and Olympic athletes. She's the founder of a Rapid Transformational Therapy, RTT, a revolutionary approach that blends neuroscience, hypnotherapy, and NLP to facilitate rapid and lasting change. We always talk about our limiting beliefs. How can we change it?
You have to sort of...
Welcome back, Alpha Squad, to the new inspiring episode of the Alpha Talks show, the #1 fast-growing show in the region. Today, we have the distinct honor of hosting a true luminary in the field of therapy, coaching, and personal development. She's none other than Marisa Peer, a globally acclaimed therapist, best-selling author, and award-winning speaker. Marisa's mission to spread the message of empowerment and self-belief has garnered her the reputation as one of the most powerful transformers of human behavior. Join us as we delve into her journey, insights, and transformative methods that continue to inspire and uplift millions around the globe. Thank you for coming, and it's an honor to have you today.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's an honor to be here.
I appreciate that. Marisa, first thing before we start the show, I ask a question, which is, people will see the thumbnail when we publish the episode, we'll see the title, we'll see the graphics, and we'll say it's an interesting episode.
Sure.
So what can you tell them now they gave us their time to watch the episode? What they will get, what they will gain?
Well, they will learn how to be the CEO of their mind. They'll learn how to use their mind to get what they want. They'll learn why they get in their own way and how to overcome it.
That.
All the important stuff.
That's exactly all the important stuff. That's the most important thing.
I think so.
So how do you feel today?
Good. I always feel good.
In a nutshell, who's Marisa from your perspective? In a very nutshell for our audience.
In a nutshell, someone who's changing what therapy is, changing the length of time it takes to learn how to feel good about yourself.
Wow, wow, wow. Looking forward to hear a lot. Can you tell us a little bit about your upbringing?
Sure.
And how this upbringing shaped you to where you are now?
My father shaped me. My father was a really incredible educator. He was a head teacher. I think you call it principal in some parts of the world. But he really believed that every child had a gift and a talent. And he got immense joy. I would always see my father totally fulfilled. His job gave him meaning, purpose, significance, growth, contribution. He made a difference. I remember thinking, wow, if you have a job like that gives you all those things, meaning, purpose, growth, significance, contribution, diversity, certainty,
impact,
you make a difference, then that's a great job. But there are not actually that many jobs that give you all of those 9 things all the time. But if you're a good therapist and you get results, then you get those 9 things every day. And I also realized with my father, my parents are very unhappily married, but my father was very fulfilled because he had a job that he just gave him so much. And I remember thinking, you've always got to get a great career. I was very focused, even as a young child. I had this belief, if you have an amazing career, nothing else can hurt you. Of course, that's not true. But it is actually a buffer. When you do what you love and you love what you do, you can bounce back from almost everything because you do what you love and you love what you do.
A quick note, I find this incredibly intriguing. On the back end of our YouTube channel, it says around 75% of you who watch this channel frequently over the lifetime of this channel haven't yet hit the subscribe button. I just wanted to ask you for a favor. It helps this channel so much if you choose to just subscribe. It helps us invite guests that give you great value. It helps us scale the production and as well makes this show bigger and bigger for you. And if you enjoyed the previous episodes and you're currently enjoying this episode, could you please hit the subscribe button? I love your support. It's incredible to see all your comments and engagement, and we are just starting. Thank you so much, and I will repay this gesture by making sure that everything we do on this show makes it bigger, bigger, and better. I'm committed to do this promise. Do we have a deal? Thank you so much for subscribing. It means the world to me.
Love that. You had a period in your life that you were kind of teaching aerobics, correct?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
for Jane Fonda.
Can you tell us a little bit about this and how it moved to therapy?
Yeah, so I was always going to be a child psychologist. I went to study child psychology and realized very quickly I was just too young. I was only like 19. And also, when you're a child psychologist, I take my hat off for those who do, but you always have 3 clients. You have mother, father, child, and they're usually divorced. And I just wasn't ready to do that. I'd probably be ready to do it now. So I left England and went to California and got a job working for Jane Fonda, and she was amazing. And it was actually an incredible job. I really loved it. When you're working out all the time, you have all the oxytocin flowing through you. You feel good. But I noticed very quickly, I guess I've always had a therapist brain, that every 3rd woman in my class was anorexic, bulimic, body dysmorphic, or had orthorexia, where everything else had to be pure. And they were all trying to fix it with aerobics. And of course, eating disorders are mental disorders. It doesn't mean you're mentally ill, but they're a disease of the mind, which you cannot fix with aerobics. And I was looking for something else because I saw how distressing it was. And at the time, I lived in West Hollywood, and my 2 flatmates, one was bulimic, one was anorexic. One would eat like a frozen grape every hour, eat a whole cheesecake every hour in tears. And I remember thinking, this is a mental illness. But then I found hypnosis, and hypnosis was so powerful. I worked on both my flatmates, began to work on lots of people that were coming to my aerobic classes. And then I opened my own clinic, and it was just from day one.
So you mixed
busy.
aerobics and hypnosis.
Well, I was planned for it. This is great. I can teach all day, and I can take all the clients out of my classes straight into my business, and I never have to advertise for a single patient. But as it happened, I got so busy, I had to give up the aerobics very quickly because I just couldn't. I'd book all these clients and then not realize I needed second appointments. I didn't have any time.
Wow.
So I had to give up aerobics, which I missed terribly because I love that. But I loved being a therapist.
Of course. If I ask you, what are the pivotal moments in your life, pivotal, that that made you switch this? You know, it's, of course, I don't want to say like you passed through challenging.
There were a lot of pivotal moments. One of the pivotal moments was when I was told I would never be able to have children. And I remember sitting in this doctor's office, and a voice in my head said, "Don't let that in." And that has been pivotal to me, that voice saying, "Do not let that in. You don't have to let that in. Do not give anyone agency over your health." I mean, they can diagnose something, but it's up to me what I do about it. So that voice saying, "Don't listen to that," has been pivotal many, many times in my life. And I love that voice that says, the only person who can make you feel good or bad about yourself is you. So doctors can diagnose you. They can tell you horrifying things. They can say, this is not going to happen. But it's really up to you. And my father was the same. When he was 66, I think, he got prostate cancer. And when he was 76, he got kidney cancer. When he died at 89, he said, "Oh, I never really had cancer. I didn't have that at all." He just decided he never had it. And I loved that. He was just in complete denial.
Wow.
And that's, sometimes that's a good thing.
Yeah, of course. We had a common friend, AJ, Anthony.
Oh, I love AJ.
Yeah. I know I was with Anthony, and he said, like, can you imagine Marisa help people that cannot have kids to have kids?
Of course.
That's all a mental thing. It's really a whole mental thing.
Well, if someone says to you, "I have unexplained infertility," what does that even mean? It means explained infertility means I can explain it. You don't have any eggs in your ovaries. Your husband's sperm is useless. Your fallopian tubes are blocked. Your hormone levels are too low. I can explain it. But unexplained means everything's great. I can't explain it. And many diseases that we think are diseases of the organs are not. They're diseases of thinking. Up to 70% of our illnesses that we show up with are not caused by diseased organs. They're caused by diseased thinking. After all, what's an autoimmune disease? Where your body is attacking you. And that's actually good news. It's much easier to treat diseased thinking than diseased organs. Diseased organs have to be changed. They have to be removed and replaced, or they have to have a strong course of antibiotics. But diseased thinking, you can change it like that if you know how to do it.
Wow. But it's really 70%? Is it like 70%?
Well, Joe Dispenza says 90%. I like to err on the side of caution.
Wow.
Doctors say up 70, could be more. You know, who knows what these statistics really mean? But we do know that if you go to see if you went to live, I mean, I spent a lot of time in Zimbabwe, If you go to certain places and hang out in tribes, you see they don't have the depression that we have, the anxiety, the panic attacks, the stress, the kids with ADHD, autism, Asperger's. Why don't they have that? Because they probably live a happier life. They're free of stress.
Stress is a cause of everything. I
Well,
believe so as well.
Yeah, stress causes inflammation. The precursor to most diseases is inflammation caused by stress.
True. You created RTT, Rapid Transformational Therapy. The name is very strong because it starts with rapid.
Yeah.
So why you created this and what it is?
Well, I created it because, you know, if I had a headache and went to the doctor, or indeed my tooth fell out and I went to the dentist, or I put my back out and went to the chiropractor, none of them would say, we're going to have a long 2-year relationship now, and we're going to build up a lot of trust, and we may make you feel better. When you're in pain and you turn up at the emergency room, you have one purpose: get me out of pain as fast as you possibly can.
True.
You know, I got run over last year, and I remember I was lying in the street for half an hour, and I was waiting for the ambulance. When I could hear the sirens, I knew that in that minute I was so close to being out of pain. I think, I knew when they arrived, and I was just longing to see the lights and hear the sirens, because I knew when they get here I won't be in any pain anymore. And I wasn't. They shoved a needle in my arm, put something on my face, and I wasn't in any more pain, and that was just lovely. And they strapped up my leg and gradually fixed it. But I just wanted to be out of pain. And when people turn up at a therapist, they want to be out of pain. It's no different to a doctor, dentist, chiro, anyone you go to. But the old model of therapy said, bring me your pain, and we're going to form a relationship of time. And people haven't got time anymore. We live in a very fast world. But even if they have, you know, if you're in the physical pain, if I've got tension headaches, I have irritable bowel, I have chronic diarrhea, or my skin is breaking, it's all painful, but you might have a different pain, which is I can't find love, I can't follow my dreams, I can't succeed in business, something is blocking me, and that's also pain. And people coming to me have one question: can you get me out of pain? Can you make me feel better? And the answer should be yes, like that. It shouldn't be, well, every Wednesday for the next 2 years, turn up at 3 o'clock. I do understand the trust bit that says, you know, when that ambulance, I didn't say to them, hey, can I see your certificate?
Exactly.
I trusted them. Put a needle in my arm. You're driving an ambulance, I trust you. You've got a white coat on, I trust you. And so I think that model is not the best model for people in pain. I don't think I think they just want to get out of, we all want to get out of pain, any kind of pain. And so I thought, well, why not? Because every modality says I'll take you out of pain, except therapy, which says I'll talk to you, we'll build a relationship. And so I thought, well, why not do something else? Why not make it rapid? And in fact, somebody wrote to me and said, this is disgusting. Do you know you should not ever put the words rapid in front of therapy? Therapy is long and painful. She said, I should know I'm a therapist and I've been in pain for 11 years. And every day I try to crawl out of it. And I thought, well, I feel sorry for your patients. Because everything can be rapid. Teaching can be, we know now that we can learn much more quickly. We know that we can work out in 10 minutes instead of 90 minutes.
But a question, sorry, I'll interrupt you. Rapid here.
Rapid.
In different, for example, different pains have different timelines, correct?
They do.
So a regular therapy can take years.
Years,
correct?
yes.
When we're talking about rapid, this years, it condensed to?
90 minutes.
No way.
Well, it can be more. You know, if someone came in and said, I have a fear of flying, I bite my nails, I pull out my eyelashes, I pick my skin, I'm not confident enough to pass my driving test, I'm terrified of getting on a plane, of course you can fix that in an hour. Because it's simply a belief that you're replaying in your head. If someone said, I have acute depression or I'm anorexic, then 3 to 5 sessions, but you don't need even 10. Because human beings can change very quickly, but you have to do a 3-step process. You have to find out what happened to you. Like if someone says, I bite my nails, well, here's the first thing. No one's born biting their nails, because guess what? You haven't got any teeth and you haven't got any coordination.
True.
So you cannot bite your nails until you've got teeth and coordination. So that's a learned problem. I can't sleep at night. No baby says I've got insomnia. No baby says I can't leave food. So most problems that we present with, I can't sleep, I can't stop eating, I'm biting my nails or picking my skin, or I'm constipated.
Started somewhere.
We know they began somewhere. You acquired them. And the good news is if you acquired them, guess what? You can be free of them. So the process is, let's go back and find out where you acquired this problem. That's step one. Step two is, let's renegotiate with the brain to let go of it. And step three is, let's code in a brand new belief system.
Ooh,
And if
wow.
you do it all together in one session, it's very powerful. I know that because I've trained 17,000 therapists doing it all over the world.
17,000.
And some of them are have got the most, some have been on television, one of them was on CNN, one was on the BBC, some have written books.
But any type of pain, any type of... I will come to this in the interview because it's going to be related to financial.
Well, financial pain is real pain
Of
too. You know,
course.
your relationship with money can be set before you're 5 years old. When you have a parent who says, I can't find the money, people like us don't have money, I don't know where the money's coming from, I want, never gets. Don't ask, because it embarrasses me and upsets me because I can't provide for you. We learn very quickly, oh, I mustn't ask for stuff. I'm bad for wanting stuff. I'm greedy. And then other people hear things like, you know, don't show off, or look at your poor dad, your sister, don't brag. And so, you know, one of my clients, her grandmother used to come and visit, and she used to fold up the money and go, don't let your sisters know.
True.
They won't like you. I only like you. They haven't got, I'm only giving you the money. You're my favorite. Don't tell anyone because they won't like you. So she formed a belief, if you have money, people don't like you. And guess what? She could never keep money. And so our money beliefs really affect us powerfully, this belief. And of course, if you come from a family where they go, oh, those rich people, they sold their soul to the devil. And we say things like, look at that fat cat, that rich bitch, that filthy rich.
True.
So we have this belief that money is dirty and bad. And people say, you know, in the Bible it says the love of money is the root of all evil. And it doesn't say that. It says the love of money at the expense of everything else is the root of all evil. So we have this belief that money is bad, and that people who want money are bad. But the truth is, if you have money, you can do amazing things with money. Like, you know, my husband and I, we create YouTube tutorials. They're totally free. We put a program into schools all over the world. But if we didn't have money, we couldn't pay the cameraman and the producer. So when you have money, you're able to give it. When people have a lot of money, often get to a point where they go, I've got so much money. Why don't I create a school or be a philanthropist? And so I've worked with people who've got so much money, they aren't spiritual. People think, you know, I should be spiritual. But they become spiritual later when they say, well, why don't I buy a school, pay for someone's education, create clean water in Africa? And of course, a lot of people with money do that. And if they didn't have money, they wouldn't be doing it. So we have to get over the belief that spiritual people shouldn't have money, or maybe I should only have it by being spiritual. You can create a lot of money and become very spiritual afterwards.
True.
It's okay to do that.
A lot of people will be watching us and listening to this and say like, oh my God, that's magic. But it's not magic. There are core elements or core principles that's behind RTT. So what are these core? I've read it's NLP, hypnotherapy. Am I correct?
I mean, RTT is something I created.
Yeah.
So, of course, it contains within it hypnotherapy, NLP, CBT, neuroscience, neuroplasticity. It has all of that inside of it, the best you could take from the best, but it also has a lot of its very own techniques as well, because I was a therapist for over 30 years. And, of course, when you're a therapist, you have a new teacher every day, your own clients who will tell you stuff. And people would come in and tell me things about how they couldn't make money. And one of my clients was telling me that she just couldn't. She didn't even bill her own clients. And her accountant couldn't understand it. But she remembered her father she remembered this scene where both her parents were doctors. And they got divorced, and it was a very bitter divorce. And the mother was much wealthier than the father, but every time she saw the father, she'd say, tell him you need money. Tell him you need $100 for a coat, $100 for a trip, $50 for shoes. And she said, don't come back without that money. She said, my father knew. He knew that my mother didn't need that money. She just wanted to get that money. And I'd say to him, I've got to have $100 for a school trip. And he'd give it to me with so much pain in his eyes. And I remember thinking, when I grew up, I'll never ask for money ever again, never. So we think that's the thought, but it's not a thought. It becomes, if you repeat that thought every week, it becomes a fixed belief.
True. A
fixed belief, and this is the genie, and your wish is its command. And when you say, I'll never ask for money again, Now we have someone who doesn't bill her clients because she can't ask for money. It's really interesting how we pick up these beliefs. Another of my clients said, I don't know why I can't keep a job. I'm always losing a job. But she remembered her father had his own business, worked 6.5 days a week, and on a Sunday afternoon, you'd lie on the sofa like that going, this job is killing me. You know, being your own boss, it's going to be the death of me. This job is killing me. It's driving me crazy. It's going to be, and she remembers thinking, I never want that thing called a job because it kills you. And so she never managed to have that thing called a job. And so we have to go back and see that when you're a small child, you live in a world of emotion, not logic.
True.
You don't even have any logic till you're 5. And even when you do, in a battle between emotion and logic, emotion always wins and logic always loses. So the logic of get up, go to work, do this presentation, be amazing, doesn't defeat the emotion of why am I self-sabotaging? Why am I deliberately messing this up? Because of the fear that it's not right for you, you're not worth it, or if you have it, it might ruin your life. And so what we have to do all the time is go back and say, well, I did think that belief, and by the way, it made perfect sense when I was 5, perfect sense when I was 8, and my grandma would hand me that note and say, don't anyone know you've got money? Or people who've got great wealth who say, don't tell your friends we have a safe, you know, because we could get burgled, and we've got to pretend we don't have the money. Or people who are hiding the fact that they feel less than. So these are not just thoughts, they're imprints. They form an imprint in a child. And 30 years later, the imprint is still there. You know, we get people of 50 who are still switching off the light, switching off the heating, saying, well, I can't afford that, it's too expensive, I'm saving money. What are you saving it for? I don't know. And other people who's been, and we know this is true because 70% of lottery winners are utterly bankrupt in 3 years. The 30% or not are the ones who've already had money. But if you have money, you get a paycheck every Friday, and the money's finished by Thursday, then when you win the lottery, all you do is spend, 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 because that's a pattern. But what RTT does is find the pattern, understand the pattern, change the pattern all in one session. It's a changing the pattern that's so powerful.
In one session.
In one session.
Just a quick thing for people to understand, because we always talk about our limiting beliefs. How can we change it in a quick thing?
Yeah, but
just
you have to identify them, you know, so you have to sort of, so if we're talking about money, we'd play a game. What did your parents say? I do that with always shout out what you heard about money. Money doesn't grow on trees.
Exactly.
We don't have money.
Evil.
I don't know where the money's coming from. Money runs through my fingers. Money is the root of all evil. And then we have to change that word money to energy. And if you go, well, energy runs through my fingers. Energy is the root of all evil. I don't know where the energy is coming from. You realize that's silly. And so you have to just think, well, just because my parents said that, or my grandparents, you know, when I was a kid, I heard the classic thing, men don't like women with money. If you're successful, you'll never find someone to marry you. That was very much a belief that my mother believed. Women like my mother didn't work because men wanted a wife to stay at home. And now we don't believe that anymore. We look at someone like Beyonce, and we say, well, that's not the case anymore. There are many, many, look at Michelle Obama, super successful women who've got husbands who adore them. So we have to say, well, where did this belief come from? Was it ever true? And even if it was true for my mother, does it have to be true for me? So when you question a belief, you don't really believe it. It's why when kids start to go, but Mummy, how does Father Christmas get down the chimney? How does the reindeer get down the chimney? You think, they're beginning to introduce doubt. When you introduce doubt and question a belief, you're ready to change it. So question your beliefs, introduce doubt. People won't like me if I have money. When you have money, you never know who your friends are. Really? I know lots of millionaires who know exactly who their friends are, like our lovely friend AJ.
Yeah.
He's got so many friends. He's such a wonderful person. So when you find the belief, if I have money, it's lonely at the top. No, it isn't. It's just very crowded at the bottom. So you have to say it's not lonely at the top. You do know who your friends are when you have money. You can do good things with money, and the more good things you can do, like I trained someone in RTT recently who said, you know, all I ever dreamed of was being a therapist, but actually I'm putting both my niece and nephews through private school because I'm making an income that I didn't even dream of before. But I feel good about the income because I'm putting 2 children through private school. They're not even my children. And so when you can do good things with money, then you shouldn't fear it. And if you have these blocks, get a piece of paper and write out your money beliefs first of all, and then go through them and change them, flip them over, and then write out what you do if you had money. And make sure you put in that doing good things for others. Who would you employ? Who would you help? Who would you benefit? Because the minute you do that, the belief about it's a bad thing becomes, well, it's a good thing. Look at all these people who would benefit.
True. Another important thing is the negative reframing, or reframing the negative thoughts. How can people do that?
But your thoughts belong to you.
Yeah.
You think your thoughts. A belief is nothing more than a thought. You think a lot. That's all a belief is. So, but your thoughts are yours to change. So again, when you have a thought, where did I get that thought from? Why am I thinking that thought? Is that thought really true? And could I change it?
Which means we need to change or transform our negative thoughts to a positive.
You know, every year we upgrade our phones or our computers or our iPads, but you know, this is software that must be upgraded too. You need to upgrade your own software by changing your thoughts. And changing your thoughts is easy. The mind learns by repetition. And every thought you think is not a thought. It's a blueprint that your mind, body, and psyche work to make real. So if you could remember that every time you think a thought, it's a blueprint. The strongest force in you is that you must act in a way that lines up with how you define you. I can't keep money. I'm no good with money. I feel uncomfortable having money. So what you have to do is change that. Just flip it. You know, what the mind loves is what is familiar. So if you've never come from wealth, weirdly enough, you'll reject it, just like those 70% of lottery winners. But if the mind likes what is familiar and wants to go back to what's familiar while going away from what's unfamiliar, then here's an idea. Make good financial beliefs familiar. Start saying, I attract wealth. I'm so comfortable with wealth. I'm a money magnet. I've got a gift. I monetize it. People love buying my products. When people see me, they always say it's the best money I ever spent. I would have paid more. And I love that. It's the best money I ever spent. And years ago I worked with someone, and the person who referred him said, I called him and said, how was he? He said, well, she's reassuringly expensive. And you see, he had a thought, well, she's expensive, so she must be good. That isn't necessarily true. But it's very common that we believe if something costs a lot, it has value. And if it doesn't cost enough, then it has no value. I remember years ago, a very famous company in England was sending me lots of clients to stop smoking because they were just about to ban smoking in the UK. And I think it was Canon that was paying for all their clients. And they were paying up front. And I have a very high success rate with stopping smoking. And it dropped. And I was thinking, why has that gone down? Then I realized, of course, they were not paying. Their company said, we'll pay. Go along and see that, Marisa. It's all covered. And so they had no investment. They'd leave and think, well, I'll just go. It's the afternoon off. I'll go and have a laugh, try a bit of hypnosis. It didn't matter if it didn't work. So then I said, okay, we have to change this. They must pay, and you reimburse them after a year. And when we did that, the figures went back up to being very high because it's like, well, I've paid for this now. So I paid for this gym membership. I better turn up. If it costs $10 a week, who cares? And so we do need to put that value on ourselves and to say, I'm worth it. And, of course, all the therapists I've trained, you know, therapists, a lot of them are empaths. They have good hearts. They really care. But that doesn't always go very well with marketing, which is very different. So, you know, anything you want will require you to learn something new. So we began to teach the therapists we were training marketing, how to sell yourself, how to niche, how to create an elevator pitch, how to tell an emotive story. Every successful business tells an emotive story. And then we created something called peer partners, where we would actually create business in a box. We go into business with you, and we design your website, and we even find your clients for you, because we realize there's a market for that too.
And a lot of therapists, I believe, lack the marketability of their service.
Yeah, and they would think that good people shouldn't make money. You know, can you imagine an anaesthetist saying, well, I'm an anaesthetist, but I shouldn't charge, or I'm an amazing cardiologist, but I really shouldn't charge. You know, doctors, dentists, cardiologists charge because they're making you better. But if you see a great therapist, you may never need to go and see a cardiologist. True. Because often, you know, I've worked with people so close to having a gastric band because of compulsive eating and helped them to stop that, and they never had to have a gastric band. They didn't have to go for that surgery, and they were willing to pay for that. I've worked with many clients. One of my clients said, you know, I took so many drugs, I could have bought an apartment in Chelsea with the amount of drugs I took, and I wish I'd seen you earlier. And he said, this is worth every penny, because I'll never get that money back, but at least I'm not losing a second apartment True. In Chelsea.
Marisa, you've been in therapy for quite long.
My entire adult life.
Quite long. What are the misconceptions, I would say, that you really want to debug completely from this sphere?
You know, one of the misconceptions, which is so vexing for therapists, is this belief the mind is very complex. It takes a lifetime to work out what's going on in your mind. And that wouldn't make sense. Why would the universe say, hey, here's a brilliant brain. When you get to 85, you'll finally crack it, but you know, what use is that?
True, true.
You know, unless you believe in an afterlife. And the mind isn't complex. The mind is patterned, but it's very easy to understand. From the minute we're born, we have two drivers. I need to find connection and avoid rejection, then we'll survive. And we have certain needs. A baby needs to be loved, safe, secure, significant. And when those needs aren't met, we do one of two things. We think, well, that's never going to be met, I'll just give up. Or we give someone else the job of meeting our needs. And in amongst all of this, we form this terrible belief, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy enough, smart enough, interested enough, talented enough. And it is the real common driver of all of our issues. Alcoholics, people who procrastinate or self-sabotage or binging or using, it's all from the same thing, I'm not enough. It's not even true. But you see, when a parent doesn't appear to love their child for whatever reason, the child doesn't stop loving the parent, they stop loving themselves.
Of course.
And they do that by saying, well, it's my fault my mum's always crying, it's my fault my dad never sees me, I guess I'm just not enough or he would be there. And once you buy into that not enoughness, which is such a sickness affecting us, a light doesn't come on in your head when you're 30 and go, oh, I just thought that when I was 8. And so many people who could be amazing in business sabotage themselves. They start a business, it fails, or they have a great idea and they never take it to market. People say to me, you know, I had this idea for a book, where is it? It was in a drawer. I had this idea for, where is it? It's in a drawer. I was so scared of being rejected because it wasn't that long ago that rejection would kill you. So the biggest problem in business a lot is the fear. You know, we hear about the fear of public speaking.
Of course.
The number one fear in the world. That's not even true. It's the fear of being rejected. Most people who say, you know, I can speak in front of my mirror,
True.
I can practice in front of my kid or my wife, but when I go on stage, I just fall apart. It's the fear of rejection. But when you peel that away, the only person who can really and truly reject you is you. So if you want an amazing career, and so many of us now work for ourselves, and years ago we go to work and the boss will go, hey, well done, you know, what I noticed today, or let me give you some feedback, and this is a really strong point. This is not, but you're really good at that. But we don't have that anymore. We're coaches working from home, someone like you working for yourself. And that praise muscle will wither away if you don't use it. So if you have a career where you're working from home, one of the best things you can do is think, what would a great boss say to me? What would a great client say to me? What would a great customer say? And then say it. Wow, I'm on fire today. The words come out of my mouth. I'm a freaking genius. Or, wow, I was so good with that client. This thing I have is amazing, because there is nothing that will boost your self-esteem like self-praise. Praise, but self-praise even more so.
True.
And you can't give that to someone else. Don't give someone else the aid of making you feel good about you. Tell yourself you're amazing at your particular career. This is my gift, this is my talent, this is my skill set. You know, I was flying from LA once and we hit terrible turbulence, and the pilot came on and said, please don't worry. I happen to be BA's best pilot. I do this route every week. It's this little trip to Disneyland. In 10 minutes we'll drop below or go up higher than it, and you won't even notice it. No one went, well, what an arrogant pilot. They went, oh my God, we've got the best pilot, how lucky are we? If you go to a surgeon, don't you want him to say, I'm the best surgeon. I'm going to make you better. You're in good hands. So we're scared of telling people how good we are. But if you can't tell someone you're good, how can they know you're good? And it's not arrogance. When you take your kid to a school, you want to say, we are the best school. We're the best. We've got the best teachers. We produce the most well-rounded, academically gifted children. We like the best chef, the best pilot, the best teacher, the best surgeon.
But we don't say it.
But you should. You should
Correct.
start to... It's not arrogance. It really isn't. Arrogance is I feel insecure and I'm going to brag to convince you because I haven't really convinced myself. Security is saying, oh, I'm really good at IT, that's my gift, or I'm really good at team leading, that's my particular skill set. And what happens in school is schools try to make you good at everything, which is a huge mistake. Because if you're good at science, you're not really going to be good at art.
True.
If you're good at maths, you might not be great at English. And what we should all be teaching our kids is find your gift, focus on your gift. You know, in Scandinavia, you self-select your lessons. People go to the stuff they're already good at, because that's where you're going to go in your career.
You know, Marisa, I have a lot of questions, or a particular question that comes to me on my social media regularly. And I want to ask you this question, because I have my answer to it, but I want to hear it from you. How people can develop their confidence? A lot of people say, like, I don't feel confident. I don't feel confident. How can I develop my self-confidence?
Well, confidence is how you feel about... I mean, there's two types of confidence. You can say, I'm confident at something. I'm very confident driving a car. I'm very confident driving a horse. I'm very confident speaking Spanish. That doesn't mean I'm a confident person, but I have confidence. And some people say I'm confident at work. My relationship's a trainer. Other people say, no, my relationship's great, but at work I don't have the confidence. But confidence is really, how do you feel about you? And you can tell you're confident in three ways. The first is, how do you talk to yourself? Do you go, I'm an idiot, I messed that up, I've got lots of brains? Or do you say, you know, today wasn't my best day, but I learned. You see, you get the chance to reinvent yourself every single day. Every day you get the chance to change twice. Change a thought, which will change an action. So confidence, first of all, is how do you dialogue with you? And the second part is, how do you treat yourself? Do you, binge on cake, stay up all night, watching Netflix, get into work too late, don't plan anything? But the biggie is, how do you dialogue with you? You've got to become your own best friend and indeed your own cheerleader. If you had a best friend, if you had a cheerleader, you had a boss who believed in you, what would they say? You're incredible, you are indispensable to this company. Oh, we value you so much, you're so gifted. But again, it's no one else's job to tell you that, it's your job. And if they tell you, they may have an agenda. Your boss could say you're indispensable, can you work all weekend? But when you say it, there is no agenda. And it sinks in the way lotion sinks into dry skin. Your skin can't reject lotion. Hot toast can't reject butter. So you've got to think of your thoughts sinking in. And your mind's job is to make your thoughts real. And your job is to think better thoughts every day so your mind can make them real. So you could say, I'm going to mess up that interview. Oh God, I've got the most difficult client in the world this week. Or you could say, difficult clients are a blessing. They teach me more. The easy ones don't teach me anything. This is a challenge, I'm going to do it. This is an issue, but I'm going to overcome it. I'm going to do that, stretch myself. Because once you push your mind to a new dimension, it never goes back. So once you make yourself speak on stage, negotiate a contract, ask for funding, ask for a joint venture partner, deal with someone who's difficult, now you've stretched yourself. And you can have no idea what your potential is ever, because your potential expands as you move towards it. The first time I ever gave a talk, I held onto the podium like that, my knees were knocking. I couldn't leave that podium. I was just holding on to it for dear life. I was speaking to a bunch of doctors at UCLA thinking, who am I to come along and speak to doctors? But I did it. Then I did it again, and then did it again. Of course, the more you do it, the easier it is. The easier it is, the more you do it. And now I can walk on stage and speak anywhere and go and speak among the audience. And because I had to do it the first time. And many of us allow fear to stop us, and every day you have a choice. Talk yourself into it or out of it. And you always want to talk yourself into it. You know, what have I got to lose? I might mess it up, it might go wrong, but it might be amazing. And you're always learning, and every time you learn anything, you're increasing the quality of your education.
True.
So you mustn't let fear hold you back, and you must decide that fear is really nothing more than excitement. You can go on stage and go, I'm so nervous, or I'm excited. I've written a book, I'm sending it to a publisher, I'm terrified they're going to read it. I'm excited. I have something to offer the world.
Taking the first step.
Self-belief and self-confidence are very interlinked, but you know, happiness is an inside job. Confidence is an inside job. Self-belief is an inside job. And you have to start saying, this is my skill set. I'm good at this.
True.
You know, in life, you're here to find out what your gift is. And when you found it, and your gift is really connected to what you love to do at the age of 7 and 14, but even when you found your gift, now you have a second thing. You've got to perfect that gift. Just because you know something, I know how to write books, but I had to learn marketing.
True.
If you want to be a writer today, unless you can also learn to be a speaker, you won't sell books.
True.
You want to be a therapist, learn to be a marketer. You want to create a product, then you've got to learn search engine optimization.
True.
You want to have a blog, you've got to learn all kinds of things. You want to write a book, you have to discover what are people buying. It's not what you want to write. You've got to write what people want to read. So step 2 is perfect your gift.
True.
Get even better at it. And then step 3 is take it to market with confidence that someone will love it.
I love that. 17,000 people.
Yeah.
You helped 17,000 people.
17,000. Well, way more than that, because those 17,000 are helping so many people. You know, I used to get letters every day from clients saying, oh my God, you changed my life. This is the baby I've had. This is the weight I've lost. This is the partner I married.
Yeah.
This is the career.
What
but
are
now,
the examples? Yeah.
Now I get letters from my therapist saying, look at the letter I got today.
Wow, because now you're, I would say, coaching the therapist.
Yeah, and
But
they're
if I
getting
go,
awards.
if I go backwards, what are the, I would say, the stories within the 17,000 that you're really proud of? You solved their problems. What kind of stories? You told me like you helped a lot of people to stop smoking.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. But what are the critical problems?
So, you know, I worked with a trader, worked in the city, and he was a trader, and he said, you know, I'm a very nervous trader. I always enter the trade too late, and I always leave it too early, and I just don't have the courage to trade. And his boss said, you know, he's got something in there, but he's so fearful. And when we went back, it was very interesting. He was telling me the story that his parents had 2 girls and then him. And because they had 2 girls, they always say to him, why are you breaking your toys? Look at your sisters just combing their Barbie's hair. They're so good. And he was running around, and they go, why aren't you like your sisters? And the little boy can't say, oh, it's called testosterone. I'm a boy. I'm supposed to jump, smash my trucks together, climb trees. I'm not supposed to be a girl. But because they always said to him, what's wrong with you on a regular basis, it became a belief there's something wrong with me. And he said, I have no success with women. Because his parents told him every day, why can't you be a girl? By saying, why can't you be like your sister? And when he understood that, he went, oh, of course, they just were so naive. They had 2 girls and thought I should be a girl. And now he realized that and reframed it and went on to be an amazing trader, found an amazing girlfriend, got married, had sons of his own, and never said to them, why can't you be like your sister?
Those letters are so fulfilling.
So nice.
I am sure part of our audience are therapists.
Yeah.
Now we talked about, okay, clients, but now I want to talk about therapists that watching us. What can Marisa now help them do? A lot of people, they don't know how to market themselves. So therapists just like, they think that, okay, I cannot market myself. How can you help them?
And they also, a lot of therapists want to be safe. So if someone came in and said, my boyfriend hits me or my partner hits me, they won't say anything. Because they think, you know, I remember when I was training, my teacher said, now if someone comes in and says, my husband hits me, never go, because you're judging the husband. I thought, what a load of rubbish. If someone comes in and says, my husband, I'll say, that's not love. If it hurts like that, it's not love. Why are you staying? Oh, I love him. I said, well, But do you love yourself? You love someone that is hitting you on a regular basis. What do you want? I want to be happy. Well, here's the answer. You need to leave now. Either leave, whatever you want, whether you want to be free or this relationship, you still got to leave. And I think we have to be brave and go out on a limb. You know, I worked with a little boy of 14, not that little. His father was hitting him with a belt. And I said, darling, that's not okay. Your dad isn't allowed to put his hands on you. And when you go home tonight, you have to call him and say, you're not allowed to do that. I'm 14, I can't stop you, but I'm not coming to see you anymore until you get help, because this is not okay. And if I come and visit you and you put your hands on me, I can't do anything about it. Well, I will call the police. So I was giving him the courage and the confidence to say to his dad, you need help. And of course, the father, when he did that, completely lost the plot, smashed up his Xbox. But then 6 months later, called him and said, okay, I'm going to go and have therapy now because I really miss you. And so it was quite helpful that the boy was realizing that you got to do this for your dad too. I mean, your dad must be so unhappy. Who hits their kid with a belt and thinks that's okay? But he was obviously hit with a belt. So, you know, we play the only part we've ever known until we make that part our own. But it's the understanding. You know, I worked with head of a very famous music label who said all I had to do was go to a meeting and say, this is a band. They're called Banana, and they come from Kilburn. That wasn't actually correct, but I'm protecting him. And he said, and when I stood up, I went, and my PA had to stand up and go, this is a group called Banana from Kilburn. Why can't I say so simple, but I can't do it? And now I'm getting panic attacks. I'm lying in bed worrying about it. Why can't I speak in public? Which is not a question, it's a statement. I can't speak in public. Why? And the why was because when he tried to speak in class, the teacher laughed at him, belittled him, all the kids laughed. And he thought, I will never speak in public again. And we think that's nothing, but, you know, for a child, when everyone laughs at you and you feel so stupid and so humiliated, your brain searches quickly for the cause of the pain and goes, I've got it, speaking in public, never do that again. And we don't realize the impact that has. You know, the people I meet who say I was bullied at school, and I could never work in a company because it feels like the playground. You've got the popular person, the show-off person. I just stay at home and I work online because bullying has affected my entire life. When they reframe it and say, well, nobody wakes up and says, hey, I'm having a great life, who can I bully today? And that bullies are actually very, very unhappy and unfulfilled. And you have the power to say, that was awful, but I will not allow it to dim my light or stop me having an amazing business, an amazing career.
Wow.
So you have to go back and make a decision. A decision is Latin for to cut off from. I was bullied. I was humiliated. You know, one of my clients told me this awful story that this girl pulled down his pants in class. I mean, imagine that.
Still remembers.
Yes, of course. How could you forget something that painful and humiliating? But the power is to say, no, that was awful. It's not going to happen again. Somebody wouldn't do it. And if they did that now, you know, with all the laws we have in place, well, they probably wouldn't. But you can't change an event, but what you can change is what it means to you, how you feel about it. The significance of an event is linked to how you interpret the event, the meaning you make of an event. But here's the thing, you can change the meaning anytime, and you can change the interpretation, which in turn will change your entire life. So it might be that my dad said I was stupid and would never amount to anything, but actually I see now that my dad wasn't very bright, or maybe my parents thought if they said don't hope for anything, like my daughter when she was at school was told don't aim for a good art school, apply to a mediocre one and then you'll be disappointed. And I said that's utter rubbish, apply to the best art school, and she did, and she got in and she's an amazing artist. But if she'd listened to that teacher who said aim low and then it doesn't hurt, of course it hurts because you didn't aim high. And if you aim high, it might succeed, it might not, but at least you've tried.
True. How do you define success for you? What is success for you? Yeah.
You know, success for me was always people, you know, it's a great thing when you get into bed at night and think someone in the world is living a better life because of a skill I possess. And all my 17,000 people I've trained can say that. Someone in the world, a child isn't being bullied, someone's found love, someone's lost half their body weight, they've stopped having anxiety, they sleep better because of a skill I possess. So that is success. And that was always enough for me. But my husband, who's a genius marketer, said, you know, you really should make this bigger. And it was his idea that we would have a school together.
Wow.
And so the school's been very successful. And now the fact that I can amplify that and have people all over the world who are doing what I do, because, you know, it's impossible for me to do that. And Wayne Dyer said, do not die with your music still playing inside you. And my husband was so right. He said, you know, this is a legacy. You can't keep this to yourself. You need to share it. People would write to me and say, hey, I'm in Alabama. Where's someone like you? I'm in Australia and there's only one of me. So I put it together with his help.
Wow.
We created an amazing school. And the success is having people turn up at our training. We've got one next week in Dubai and say, wow, this is the best job in the world. In fact, not long ago, I trained a very, very famous fashion designer who said, you know, this is me for the rest of my life. I just fixed a kid of stuttering. And it was the most amazing thing, better than all of that fashion world, because that was so vacuous.
True.
And that's so lovely, you know. In the Quran, it says, when you change one person's life, it's the same as changing the life of the whole world. And if you save one person's life, that's the same as saving the life. And this particular man now specializes in suicidal young guys and is so successful at helping them.
Wow, I love that.
I do too.
If I ask you, what's your favorite failure to date?
My favorite failure. Oh, my favorite failure was being asked to leave college. You know, I went to college to train to be a child psychologist. I didn't apply myself. You know, I definitely had that not enoughness. And when you feel not enough, you sabotage, you procrastinate, you hand in work late, you're always winging it. And so it was not a surprise when they asked me to leave. But they did me such a favor, you know. Sometimes we so fear rejection. It can be the best thing that ever happened. If my first boyfriend hadn't rejected me, I wouldn't be married to my lovely husband. If I hadn't been asked to leave college, entirely because I wasn't doing enough work, I probably would be a teacher now. Nothing wrong with that. We have to look back and say, you know, my friend failure, what did it teach me? Isn't it good that I got fired from that job because I went on to do something else? Isn't it great that the universe had a different plan for me? And sometimes being rejected can spur you on. You know, Eminem always talks about that when he was rejected as a rapper because he didn't look like a rapper. It was very much a black kid's world, and he was so angry. And he put all that angry into rapping, and then he went to a concert determined to win, and he didn't win. But Dr. Dre was in the audience and saw something. We don't even know who won, but we know one thing: whoever won was not as big as Eminem.
True. Absolutely.
And then he wrote that great movie 8 Mile, all about coming back from. And then he taught Ed Sheeran, who also was facing all this: you'll never make it, you don't look like a pop star, you're too small, you got red hair, you got white skin, you got glasses. But Eminem was the one who said, no, use that to propel you forward. Do not take no for an answer. You know, people who are successful have 5 or 6 things that they do. One is they do not do no. They hear, this is a delay, not a denial. My book got rejected again and again, but I always just sent it back until someone said, wow, I love this. This is going to be a bestseller.
True.
So people who are successful don't hear no, they hear no at the moment, no today, no like this, but come back, change it a bit. They also take action every single day in the direction of their goal on their way to success. And they do what they absolutely hate or dislike to get to where they want to be. People who fail will give up. They go, I'd never do that. So diminishing. I wouldn't ask for help. I couldn't make that call. I couldn't go and beg for funding. But people who succeed think, I don't want to do this, and I'm doing it right now. And the other thing to do is they praise themselves a lot. They say, I'm the best, I'm amazing, I'm gifted, because they're always building that praise muscle. So if you look at those things people do, delay gratification, take action every day in the direction of their goals, do what they do not want to do, praise themselves a lot.
And no is not the end.
Yeah, and always see a denial is nothing more than, and they have the bounce back, like a big rubber ball, they bounce back. So if you can pick up any of those habits, and of course you can, you don't have to be born with them, you can adopt them, learn them. But if you embrace those 5 habits, not only will you go to success, it will come to you. Success will come to you if you are also going towards it by adopting those habits. Successful people, as we know, leave clues. I see what makes a successful therapist. And my husband and I were saying recently, isn't it interesting, we have a few people who are really good, and then they say things like, yeah, I'm just going to do another course, a bit more training. I say, have you ever met a plumber that's done that? Let's just get on with it.
Correct.
But the ones who put it on their card and have to make that money back aren't always as good as some I see, like, wow, you've got it, you've got the talent, you're amazing. But they hold back. But the ones who have to just take a leap of faith and go out there and recoup the cost of their course do phenomenally well.
Correct. Now, in our era now, technology is growing so fast.
So fast.
How do you see the effect of technology on the therapy industry?
Yeah,
AI, it's really, even like a lot of jobs will be gone.
I know, in 10 years' time, you won't get an Uber driver. There will be no driver. There will be no bank teller. There will be no person in the shop. There might even be any shops.
True.
All the things, all that human connection that is so vital will be gone. I could go to the bank, get in a cab, go to the store and never speak to a soul. In fact, I sit at home and have everything delivered. But you can't really make AI into therapists, and because our greatest fear is rejection, and what we're doing in society is making people dispensable and rejecting them, there'll be more need for therapists. Even now there is more need for therapists. There aren't enough therapists to deal with people. And yes, you could have an AI therapist that read a little script, but it's the personal touch.
True.
It's when you're a therapist, you're like a detective. You're looking for clues, you're listening for a word someone says, you're watching the chin wobble or the eyes leak tears or a break in the voice, and all the time you're thinking, oh, your voice broke that's where I'm going now. Your chin wobbled as I said that. I asked you to say I'm lovable and you kept saying I'm likable. So our client's giving us clues and we know exactly what to do. But a robot, an AI,
can't.
And people say, AI can write books, but they're never really going to have the human touch. And it's great for certain things, amazing for certain things, but I think if you're a therapist, it will not put you out of business. It will create more business, because people can't deal with rejection. It was the #1 killer. You imagine living in a tribe and they banished you or cast you out, which they did. A cult, a religious group would cast you out and banish you. And in Romeo and Juliet, when he was banished, he said, well, I'd rather be dead. There's nothing outside these city walls but purgatory.
True.
So we need people, it's wired into our DNA to need connection. All this working from home sounds lovely, but that affects people's mental health, because it's the whole point to go to work, go and have lunch, maybe go to a bar after work, maybe go out for dinner. Human beings need human beings.
True.
And you're never going to replace that with a robot.
Marisa, we are in the Alpha Talks, correct? How do you define alpha? An alpha, what's an alpha for you?
An alpha is someone, for me, who takes responsibility for themselves. The word responsibility means an ability to respond. If you're a response-able person, you're able to respond. So an alpha doesn't mess around. They don't give someone else the job of making them, they do it themselves. I'm an alpha, I'm going to fix it, I'm going to do this, I'm going to sort it out. An alpha would feel the fear and do it anyway.
I love how you defined it. We have a section here, it's called the Quickfire. So I'll ask you a couple of questions and you just shoot me the answer.
Okay.
So what is the most unusual habit do you have in your daily routine that contributed to your success?
I think just I have something called JFD, just freaking do it. When I wake up and there's something I do want to, I remember that successful people do what they dislike first. So I have to make myself do the things I don't want to do. And it's that ability to know that the only person who can reject me is me. And that's really helped me succeed by not letting in rejection.
True. And what is the first thing you do when you wake up?
First thing I do when I wake up is I tend to stay in bed and look at my emails because I don't think I'm working. If I'm in bed, my husband brings me tea. He's amazing. And then I'll go through my emails, but it doesn't feel like work. I do it before I'm dressed. And I get that out of the way. And I find that as emails come in, if I just look at them and get rid of them, I keep on top of everything. But the first thing I do before that is to say, I love my life. I usually wake up and go, I love my sheets. I love my view. I live on a lagoon. I love the sound of the birds. I think if you can wake up in a state of gratitude. I'm so lucky. And love, so like I always look forward. I always wake up and think, my first cup of tea. And then I have a cup of coffee, and I love all of those. It's a little celebration every day, and it sounds a bit twee, but if you can get joy from the little things, you'll get so much joy from the big things.
True.
So the aptitude for gratitude is huge.
How do you stay motivated and positive like this?
You know, it's an interesting thing is people think motivation is going to go, here I am. Motivation doesn't come to you. You have to begin. I'm very rarely motivated to go to the gym. I often don't want to go. I don't want to go, but I'll just go. And I'll just do the leg press and a few of these things for 15 minutes. And when I get there, I often stay there for an hour. So there's a misconception. I'm waiting for motivation. That is a classic mistake. Motivation begins when you start. You don't want to tidy your house, but if you begin, you don't want to empty out. You don't even want to have sex. You think, but I'll just do it anyway. And then suddenly you think, oh, I'm quite into it now. So the thing is, do not wait for motivation. Start. And when you start, motivation will certainly appear, but it won't appear until you take the first steps.
What is the single best advice you've received?
Don't let in rejection. Don't let in destructive criticism. I can hear constructive criticism. I think, well, yeah, you have a point, and that's absolutely correct, and I should slow down how I'm speaking, and I should always get to places on time. But destructive criticism, just don't let it in. You have a choice. People can be mean and hurtful, but you have a choice, which is, I don't have to let that in. And your opinion is not my opinion.
True. Most of our traumas comes when we are children. So if I ask you, if you could teach children one lesson, what lesson will be?
I teach children lots of lessons all the time. I'm teaching them to be their own cheerleader, to have a voice in their head saying, you can do it. We have a program where children literally have a cheerleader. And a cheerleader only knows one thing, how to do backflips and somersaults and clap. They never go, oh my God, you were awful today. They go, today you did your best, you'll be better tomorrow, you'll still win. And so we have a program, a 5-day challenge where children literally install a cheer. When they talk, they say things like, he believes in me, he makes me feel good. When I first saw it, I was so emotional because it was so real to them. They were talking about this like it was a real person living in their head. And of course, a lot of us have an inner critic living in our head saying that won't work out. You'll never make that. Other people do it, not you, but the cheerleader. You see, your brain can't go in two lanes. It can't go, I'm great, I'm useless. That's going to work, it's going to fail. So when you have the cheerleader, you're going in that lane, you can't be in the other lane. So my proudest moment actually is putting RTT into schools. We have so many schools in Dubai signing up for our 5 different, and indeed our year-long program, which is all based at growing a kid's self-esteem. The job of a school is to grow a child's self-esteem, but they're not assessing, they're assessed on results, academic results. However, when you grow a child's self-esteem, their academic results go up anyway because they do better when they feel better.
What is something that somebody has told you that has hurt you and you've never forgotten?
Oh, what has someone told me that hurt me and I think my teachers at school told me I'd never make it. You know, my father was my school teacher, so I was very rebellious and very confused and very easily rejected. So I didn't forget it, but you know what, I had something great called I'll Show You. So when I don't even regret hearing that because it made me think, I'll show you.
You know, I have a book coming out soon in February, end of February, And really, majority of the theme of the book is the challenging moments that I had in my life. And my internal voice was always saying, just watch me.
Yeah, watch me. I'll show you.
If I ask you to describe yourself in 3 words, what's going to be?
In a few words, I would say I'm someone who created the I'm Enough movement because I see that as a source of so many
I love the name,
problems.
yeah.
Yeah, all my bracelets say I'm enough. I have it all over my house.
Oof.
And it's so simple that people's whole lives change when they can just say I'm enough. You know, we write it, state it, affirm it, embody it. It's life-changing.
And what is the current big project that you're working on now?
Well,
And you want to share it with the
We
people?
have a few. We have peer partners where we're taking our therapists who've done RTT and the coaching RTC, and we're building a business with them, creating their website, getting their clients, and really going into partnership, and that's a wonderful
A
thing.
lovely thing,
because
actually.
We're putting them into, only the other day we worked with a massive clinic here who's desperate to have some RTT therapists working there. We have a lot of businesses saying, we'd love to have an RTT therapist in the office helping people. So that's a big thing. And then we're putting RTT into schools, and that's a huge thing. And we have our first RTT training on the 19th of February, which totally sold out. And we're doing another one next November. We have already 120 very successful therapists here
Wow.
in this country. And we plan to have a lot more.
119?
120.
120?
Already 120,
Wow.
yeah. And now that we're training them here on this soil, we'll have even more.
Wow, wow. What will be the last message you want to leave the audience with today? What's going to be the last?
Believe in yourself. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. To believe in yourself. It's not someone else's job to believe in you. Happiness is an inside job. Self-belief. You see, if I said to you, I hold you in the highest esteem, that's what I think of you, but self-esteem is what I think of me. You can't give me self-esteem because it's self-esteem.
Esteem, true.
I have to give it to myself, and every day you can raise your sense of self-worth, self-value, self-image, and self-esteem by being more positive in the way you talk to yourself and about yourself.
True. If people watching us now and they want to connect with you, what is the easiest way that they connect?
Well, if you go to marisapeer.com, you can hear all about, I've got something called The Audience with Marisa next Tuesday night, and that's really exciting. And we're putting on events all over Dubai where people can come and have an evening with me
Wow.
and learn to get over money blocks or love blocks or success blocks. So
I'll
if you go
put
to
the website, I'll put the website with the details.
marisapeer.com has all the, and if you want to train and become one of those amazing 17,000 therapists who are having their best life, go to rtt.com. And if you want to find a therapist, one of the 120 out here, also go to rtt.com.
Wow. We have a ritual in the show. It's called the Alpha Talks Memoir, where the Alpha guests do a couple of things. One of them is they write their experience about the show. And the second thing is to answer a question from the previous Alpha guest. And you'll do the same. You'll write a question to the next Alpha guest. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
So, oh my God. When did you cry last time and why?
When did I cry last time and why? I was crying when I was watching the news, looking at these children that are in a war zone through no fault of their own, and just wondering how those kids are going to be shaped by feeling so abandoned. So that brought me to tears. You know, a lot of times, you know, when you're a human being and you feel compassion, it's like that book, For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Absolutely.
Don't ask. If you care about humanity, it tolls for you. So I sometimes cry when I watch a movie. And I watched the movie about, was it not Harry Winston? Nicholas Winston, who got all the children out of Germany, and Anthony Hopkins played that part so well. So I certainly cried when I saw that, because he saved the lives of 69 children. But of course, that ripple effect, they showed you a scene where he was in an auditorium and everyone was a descendant of those children that he saved. There were hundreds of people. So that was very moving.
Marisa, thank you very much. Really enjoyed the conversation. Enjoyed the, I would say, the value, the knowledge bombs that you shared with us and all the audience. And I'm sure we'll have another episode where we will
I hope so.
we will do that. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I am enough. I love.
Yeah, we are all enough.
Thank you very
Everyone
much.
on this, everyone watching this and listening to this is more than enough. Always has been, and certainly always will be.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
That wraps another inspiring episode of today's show. I hope that this episode has ignited your inner alpha and left you feeling inspired, motivated, and ready to conquer any challenge that comes your way. Remember, alphas aren't born, they're made. It isn't about dominating others, it's about embracing your authenticity, leading with integrity, and making a positive impact on the world. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the Alpha Talks on your favorite podcast platform. Leave us a review and share the podcast with your fellow alphas. Also connect with us on social media at Saif Al Hakim. Share your thoughts, insight, and stories of personal and business growth with us. Let's create a movement of alphas supporting one another. The world needs more alphas like you exactly. Until next time, stay bold, stay driven, and stay alpha.